did you ever believe in God?
No.
Did your parents?
Yes. They must have done at some point. Well, I think my father probably must have done. I don't know this, because of course I always have this doubt about people who even affirm that they believe in God. Do they believe in it all the time? Do they believe in it every day? Do they never have crises of faith? Why do they have to keep on going to church to prove that they believe? Why isn't it simple to them?
Would you say that the...
But I mean, my father came from a very strong Baptist family. He must, when he was young, I think, have been a believer.
What about your children?
I wouldn't ask them, nor I hope would they want to ask me. I mean, they shouldn't. Obviously, my children do now know. They have to know what I think, because it's well known. But I would prefer that they did not. I think children should be able to make up their own minds about this. Well, I mean, my youngest daughter, for example, younger, I mean to say, goes to Sidwell Friends School, where they're not made to be Quaker, and where they are taught about other faiths, so they can make up their own minds. That's all I want for them. I would never dream of imposing it on them, and they really ought not to know what my beliefs are, at least until they're of the age of reason. It's repulsive to me to hear people saying, you know, or to see in the newspaper, a Muslim child was killed, or a Catholic child was killed in Northern Ireland, or a Protestant child. How do we know this about them? What choice did they have in the matter? What I mean is, a child victim of a filthy religious war was killed.
I want to show you a picture that was in our first book notes book, right here.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that.
When I was still a smoker. Yeah, that's in Timberlake's Bar. I remember it very well.
It is near DuPont Circle, and if you'll notice, this is in the middle of the day. You've got your computer there, you've got a martini on the bar, and you've got a cigarette in your mouth.
And a gut like a, I don't know, sumo wrestler as well.
Would you do that today?
No, I had to give up smoking. Well, I didn't have to, but I made myself give up about 2 years ago.
What about the drinking?
And with the booze, I find it's a better servant than a master.
Explain.
Well, actually, though I say that in that tense, I've always thought that it's very important that it be a master-servant relationship. In other words, that you should get more out of it than it gets out of you. I've found alcohol interesting. It makes other people less boring. It's a great recommendation that it has. Some people can't write or talk or do anything much when they've had a few drinks. Without boasting, I can say that I can, and sometimes that I want to. It can be an inspiration to me. And I know that it can. I know this from friends and from relatives, and from one or two episodes in my own life. It can be very bad to have too much to drink. But I have it I still think as a friend and an ally, and not as a boss or a foe.
And you're a historian. You've talk about the world. Where do you fit 9/11 in events that have happened in world history? I mean, how is this going to fit 25 years from now?
I think it'll fit with a couple of other events. One that, to me, gets more and more significant as time goes by, where you also very kindly had me on. 14th of February 1989, the Ayatollah Khomeini's fatwa against Salman Rushdie. There's a new book by a man called Kenan Malik, an author in Britain, about the fatwa against Rushdie, and it's called From Fatwa to Jihad. And I think that the hinge moment in history, the time when things were turning in a major cultural way, historical way, is somewhere between 89 and 2001, when a wing of Islam, at any rate, a certain arc of the Muslim world, decided that it was at war. And then it took a little time for us to discover that we were at war too. But history does turn a bit more slowly than that. When you have a moment like Sarajevo in 1914, say, or some apparent flash or the Bastille in 1789, or Lexington, what these flashes illuminate is a scene that's already been prepared, already been set. And that's the way I think to be a historian, the way to look at things.
One of the questions that I know I used to love to get the audience's reaction to is, on our call-in show, is America the greatest country in the world?
Huh. Or as
how would you answer?
Well, Spiro Agnew was supposed to have said, the greatest nation in the country. something like Gore Vidal has a wonderful take on this. It's something to be proven rather than stated, it seems to me, something to be demonstrated rather than affirmed. But yes, I would say, in this sense, as someone who used to take pride in being called a revolutionary, maybe sometimes for good and sometimes for slightly callow reasons, but anyway, I'm not ashamed of it. Where's the Russian Revolution now? It's gone. Whereas the Chinese Revolution now, it's mutated into something completely opposite, different to itself. The Cuban Revolution is moribund at the best. The French Revolution, well, it did have a great effect on the Enlightenment, but it was, and I wouldn't denigrate it, it's French. The American Revolution, the one that says, build your republic on individual rights, not group rights. Have a Bill of Rights that inscribes these and makes them available and legible to everybody. Separate the church from the state, separate the executive, the judicial, and the political branch. Do all these things. It doesn't sound like much, but it's really a very revolutionary idea. There's hardly a country in the world that wouldn't benefit from adopting those principles. I think that gives the United States a really good claim to be a revolutionary country, as well as, of course, paradoxically, it's a very conservative one. Certainly makes me very glad, very proud to have become a citizen of it.
What's the flag in your lapel?
That is the flag of Kurdistan. The Kurdish people are the largest people in the world, largest ethnic group, if you like, largest nation that don't have a state. The Qatari and Kuwaiti royal families have a seat and a vote at the United Nations. The Kurdish people, who are perhaps as many as 35 to 40 million, don't have any diplomatic representation at all, but they are a big part of Free Iraq. And so I wear the flag as a sign of solidarity with the revolution in Iraq that removed Saddam Hussein, defeated Al-Qaeda, and is trying to build a republic.
We've got just about a minute left. You always traveling. Where's your next trip?
I don't know. Sorry for such a boring answer. My last trip was to Athens. Maybe that's better. So I've just come back. I'm trying to write something about the new Acropolis Museum. The greatest new museum for a long time in Europe. Be opened on 21st of June. It'll contain all the sculpture and treasury of the Parthenon and the other temples of the Acropolis, and it has room for all the stolen sculpture taken by British imperialists like Lord Elgin to be given back, so we can see how all that sculpture is symmetrical and supposed to be seen the same place at the same time. And I've done a piece of Vanity Fair about how wonderful it'll be when we can see all that.
I suppose I better mention this book one more time.
If you would.
God is Not Great, How Religions Poison Everything by Christopher Hitchens. We are out of time.
Fine bookstores everywhere.
Yes. And thank you for joining us.
No, it was a pleasure, as always.